Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Simply Charnay, where it's simply me being me. And this week, I just wanted to show you how to make this face mask right here so you can be protected from the coronavirus. And with that being said, let's get started. So this is what you're going to need to make this mask. I'm going to put a whole list of all the stuff that I used and the link that I found to get the patterns. So the first step you're going to do is you're going to cut out your patterns for the lining fabric and the outer fabric. Then after you do that, you're going to take the outer fabric and then you're going to trace it with some tailor chalk or a color pencil or like anything washable, and you're just going to go around the whole outer edge and trace it. Okay, so once you've traced it, what I like to do, I just like to layer the two fabrics on top of each other and pin them together. So I only have to cut the fabric once and trace it once, but I don't know if this is what you're supposed to do. This is just what I do, and it works for me. Okay, so one little tip I want to tell you guys is to make sure you have two separate scissors, one for your paper and one for your fabric, because if you use your fabric scissors on paper, they will get dull and they won't be as sharp. So now I'm just going to start cutting the fabric, and like I said, I don't know if you're supposed to layer them on top of each other like this, but that's just what I do. I'm not a pro. So now you're just going to go on to the lining fabric, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pin the pattern right on top of the fabric, and then I'm going to cut it. So I don't know if this is what you're supposed to do, like I said before, but it just works faster. And yeah, I don't know if pros do this, but I'm not a pro, so I'm just gonna do it my way anyways. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut around the pattern, and yeah, that's what I'm not doing right now. So now that you've got those, you just remove the pins. So like I said, you could either use a ruler or this giant sewing ruler, but either or works, but I just like to use this bigger one. So now I'm going to cut out this rectangle on the bias of the fabric, which is you just cut on diagonal. And this is going to be for the nose piece that we're going to use later. And I just use that ruler and make the rectangle and just connect the two lines with that, as you can see right here. Then I'm just going to go ahead and cut those out, once again with the fabric scissors, not just any regular scissors. And now I have my nose piece, the main fabric, and the lining fabric. So now what you're going to do, you're going to put the two fabrics together for the main fabric. And normally you would just make sure it's the right facings are together, but since it's yellow I can't really tell, so I'm just going to pin the fabrics together and go ahead and sew them. And then you're also going to go ahead and repeat the same thing with the white lining fabric. And then now I'm just cutting in these little notches, so then the mask will lay flatter on your face, and I'm going to do it on both the lining and the main fabric. And then now you're just going to top stitch along the middle seam just so it lays flat again, and you're going to repeat this on both the main and the lining fabrics. And now you're just going to match up the two nose or the two corner seams of the fabric, and I like to start pinning in the center and then going down on both the left and the right, so I know that it's centered. And then now you're just going to repeat the same thing by lining up the seams on the bottom and start it from pinning in the center and then go on the sides. And one thing also, you're going to want to make sure the right sides are together. Yeah, so as you can see, that's what I'm doing now. And you're just going to sew along both edges on the sewing machine. Yeah, and also make sure when you're sewing you use the back stitch thing just to secure it. And you don't want to run out of your pins like I just did, because that will mess up your machine. But once again, I'm not a pro, so make better choices than I do. So as you can see, I forgot to put the little nose piece in. So I'm going to show you this cool tool that I like to call a seam ripper. and basically it's for when you make those mistakes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut a hole by cutting out the threads and just creating a space that's large enough to fit the nose piece, which is going to be this rectangle that I have on the table. So now I think this hole's big enough, so I'm going to go ahead and fold about 1/4 inch in on both sides of this rectangle. And normally you would use like an iron to make sure these to make the creases, but like I said, I'm not a pro. I'm just going to crease it with my fingers and it will do just as good. So now I'm just going to sew a seam on the shorter ends of the rectangle, and now I'm going to match it up in the middle of the nose piece on the top where there's like the little point, and you're going to make sure you center it with the seams, and then I like to pin, like I said, I like to pin in the center and then work my way out on both sides. And yeah, as you can see, I didn't make the hole big enough, so I just had to use the seam ripper and just open the hole up a little wider. And then I'm just pinning that into place and just cutting away some of those excess threads, and now I'm gonna sew it so that hole back closed. So now that I have them both closed, I'm gonna flip my project inside out, and then now I'm just straightening up the edges and about to sew his top stitch. So before I do that, I'm just gonna line up the sides and pin them together just so they're flat as I'm sewing them through the sewing machine. And you're gonna do this on both sides of the mask. Now once you get to the nose piece, you're just gonna make sure that's laid flat, and you're just going to pin that down like you did the other side, and just make sure that all 3 layers that you're working with are flat. So now you can see I pinned both sides of the mask, and now I'm just going to top stitch along the side of it. And you're also going to make sure that you sew like really close to the edge, about like a 1/16 of an inch in, just to make it look really neat. And yeah, you're just going to make sure you, once again, don't run over those pins. You want to take those out as you're sewing. You can see I forgot to take one out again, but that's okay. And then now you're just going to secure the lower side of the rectangle, and you're just going to repeat the same thing and just sew close to the edge along about 1/16 of an inch in. Okay, so now that you've done that, it's going to take out those pins, because once again, I forgot to take my pins out, but I'm not a pro, so don't at me. So now we're just going to fold the sides in, and we're going to bring in the elastic. And you also want to make sure you measure the elastic so it fits the person you're making the mask for. And when you pin both sides, you want to make sure they're both secure, and that they both will lay flat on the person or your ears, wherever you're putting the elastic. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and sew both sides, and just going to go down the length of the mask as well. And now I forgot to leave a pocket of where you can like add an extra mask or like a tissue to act as a second layer of protection, but I just folded the yellow on top of each other to fix that. And yeah, so now that I do that, I'm just going to tuck the elastic into both sides, and I'm going to just secure that elastic. Okay, so now that I have this last little part sewed, but you really could just tie a knot in it, or you could just take out the elastic and reposition it. But there's one thing I forgot to tell you that you needed, and that's a pipe cleaner. Can I have a pipe cleaner, Simona? Okay, yeah. This is my little assistant, my little sister, Simona.
Hi.
So now you're just going to fold the tip of the pipe cleaner and just insert it down the channel, and you're going to cut both of the ends of the excess pipe cleaners. And now you'll have a stabilized nose piece. And now I'm just going to also put little notches on both of the sides just so it fits snugger on the face. Because also whenever I was sewing this, I didn't account for my dad's beard and it was just gapping and stuff, so I'm just gonna fix that. And yeah, so this sew along the sides, and now we're done. And yeah, this is the finished face mask. And I'm just gonna try it on. You can see we struggle with that, but yeah, here's the finished product. Okay, so for my viewers who don't have sewing machines, I have a second option for you. And for this mask, you're only gonna need two things. 2 hair scrunchies and a bandana. So to make this mask, all you have to do is take your bandana and fold it in half like this for the first time, and then you fold it in half one more time, and it'll look like this. Then you take one of your scrunchies and you put it on one end, and then you take the second scrunchie and put it on the opposite end and fold it down again. And then you'll have something that looks just like this. And now at this point, you just take your mask and put it behind your ears. And it's gonna look something like this right here. And lastly, like I always say, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye!